asked and answered playoffs. We're all tired of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs by now. Every week in the NFL season brings a host of new questions and answers some old ones too. Let's run down what we learned in the divisional playoffs and what we'll be wondering about in the conference championships and beyond. Answered: we're all pretty sick of Patrick Mahomes at this point. Look, let's just all get this out of the way up front. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have ascended to 2000s Patriots or 1990s Bulls territory. Yes, they're historically great. Yes, we'd love to have them as our team. Yes, we're sick as hell of them and wish they'd just go away. That's what happens with dynasties. You get tired of seeing the same team winning all the time unless it's your team, in which case you want the train to keep running forever. By every measure, Mahomes struggled this year to get anywhere near his previous highs. And yet the Chiefs still won 15 games during the regular season and, on Saturday, didn't really have much trouble with Houston. That leads to cries of bias and favoritism, and the soft roughing the passer calls that Mahomes can seemingly conjure out of thin air don't really mitigate that perception. Kansas City has now made 7 straight AFC championship games, meaning that the other 15 teams in the conference have had to divide those other 7 spots among themselves. That's a recipe for boredom and frustration. You can't blame the Chiefs for being good and winning, and you can't blame the rest of us for being tired of it all. Asked: why does playoff cruelty always come for the same teams? When you're in the midst of a magical run, like Baltimore, Minnesota, and especially Detroit were this year, you feel invulnerable. You feel like the stars have aligned, the football gods have smiled upon you, fortune and fate are ushering you into the land of champions. And then reality hits, and you get the absolute crap beaten out of you in January. It's a hard, fast fall, and all the more brutal because certain teams, as noted above, don't seem to ever suffer these kinds of falls. Baltimore has been here before and will again, and Minnesota already had an inkling that they were out on a thin limb with the way the team unraveled at the end of the regular season. But Detroit, man, you've got to feel for Detroit. Going 15-2 in the regular season, completely remaking the franchise's entire image in just a year, setting up for a long playoff run, only to see it all undone by the whims of injury, the misfires of your own quarterback, and a generational rookie on the other side of the ball. The Lions ought to be back in the mix next season, but that window is a narrow one, and it always seems to close on the same teams.